So good afternoon and welcome to everybody here. I am very excited to be here today to share a story about our son Matthew and how he's handled his 15-year journey in living with liver disease. My name is Richard Ayden, and I'm married to Ghislaine Pilon, who's also in the audience here today for 38 years. Father to two amazing kids, one Matthew and Nicholas, and the grandfather or Yeye to our grandson Nico. I'm also a live liver donor to my son Matthew back in September. The CLF team asked me to come here today to share a story about our son's journey and how he survived two liver transplants. The truth be known is, without those transplants, he wouldn't be here today. Matthew would love to be in here today, but I'm going to share some of his thoughts. And some of you may be wondering why I said I'm excited to be here today. And I fully realize that liver disease is no laughing matter. The truth is, there's nothing good about liver disease. According to the statistics from a very credible site, Canadian Liver Foundation, 1 in 4 Canadians, men, women, or children, will probably be affected by liver disease in some way, shape, or form. My wish is that no one here has to go through that journey. But if you do, I'm hoping that you hear something today that inspires you or gives you some nuggets that helps you go through it if you have to go through it. So my son, Matthew, has a very rare liver disease. It's called PSC. There is no cure or treatment for this disease. 1 in 100,000 people worldwide are diagnosed with it, and 70% of those who have the disease have UC or Crohn's. It is typically a very slow-moving disease, but it can be very aggressive, as it was in my son's case. And even for those who have a liver transplant, the survival rate is only about 54% after 10 years. So let me preface Matt's journey by giving you some context. So this is a photo of Matthew just a few months before he got ill. Typical teenager, 15 years old. He is an extrovert. He loves his family and friends. He loves music. He loves to dance. He's got a zest for life that is second to none, and a massive passion for martial arts. So to date, it's been 15 years, a roller coaster ride filled with highs and lows, and this is our story. So back in January of 2009, Matthew and I were working out at the gymnasium. I was holding his weights for him. As I looked down into his eyes were yellow and jaundiced, a little scary. So interesting, Matthew looked up and said to me, "I think I'm eating too many bananas. My eyes are turning yellow." But we moved quickly to get him into the doctors, 2 different hospitals, dozens of tests. It took 9 months to diagnose Matthew. All of this while his health was declining pretty rapidly. So then on November 4th, 2009, we were at Sick Kids in Toronto. Matthew was diagnosed with PSC. Pretty scary moment because from what little information we had, we knew there was no cure or treatment. Fast forward to May 12th, 2010, just after he was diagnosed on November 4th. It's a day I'll never forget. Dr. Grant walked into the room and he said, "Young man, I'm not going to hold any punches. You're a very sick young man, and you have 6 months to live." So it's a day, I can still hear his voice. I can still remember the scare look on my wife's face. I remember Dr. Grant sliding a box of Kleenex over to my wife as she was teary-eyed. But I also remember, excuse my language here, but I always remember Matthew looking at the doctor and saying, "With all due respect, doctor, I don't think so. I got too much stuff to do in my life." So we then moved very quickly, and we were very blessed. We had 9 people come forward to be a donor for my son. Luckily, I was chosen, and then on September 7th at Sick Kids in Toronto, we went through a live donor, and he was a recipient. It was a very tough day. We were in 2 different hospitals. I think it was the longest day of my wife's life for 18 hours. She had 2 of our family under the knife. But we also almost lost Matthew that day. And then he got through it. And despite having not being able to go to school for a couple of years, he found a way to study, and he got into the University of Guelph. So just prior to starting university, uh, 1 year after his transplant, Matthew took a journey to China. Um, he wanted to climb Yellow Mountain, Hong Sang Mountains, where he lived and studied with monks for 35 days. It was a long 35 days for our family as we couldn't talk to him because he was 18 hours away from the closest medical facility living in the mountains. So fast forward January 12th, a nightmare that came within 2 weeks of starting university. Matthew got very ill, and over the next number of months, he progressed very, very quickly. So as each month went by, the PSC got very, very aggressive. And as we entered 2013, I remember watching him sleep for 18, 19 hours a day. Couldn't get out of bed, eyes yellow, losing weight. But he did get up a couple hours a day to eat, wash, and then he'd go to the gym and he'd train for 2 hours at the martial arts place, and he'd come back. I really didn't think he was going to make it. It was a pretty scary time. We're on a wait list for Ardona. I did actually leave my job in 2013 in August. I came home and I remember walking in and Matthew said, "What are you doing here, Dad?" And I said, "I just want to spend some time with you." And he looked at me and he said, "BS." He said, "You think I'm going to die?" He says, "I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to die. In 7 months from now, I'm going to be in Cambodia. In 9 months from now, I'm going to be fighting in April in the Philippines in Arnis, the World Festival." I never wanted to discourage his enthusiasm, but as most people in the room know, after a transplant, you're not supposed to travel for a year. So this was August, and he was in dire straits. So fast forward to October 1st, we got a phone call from Toronto General. October 2nd, Matthew gets a second chance in life. He gets a donor, a liver given to him by a deceased donor. And then we went on. So as a side note, before I carry on, um, 2 months after his transplant, he's in the doctor's office, Dr. Lilly, some of you may know him, in Toronto, and he's lobbying for to let the doctor travel, to let him travel to Cambodia and go fight in April. So I remember Dr. Lilly looked over at us and he said, "You're not going to like me very much, but I'm going to let him go." So away he went, and so within 6 months of his transplant in March, Matthew was living in the jungle in Cambodia, living in caves. And in April of that year, he also competed in the World Arnis Martial Arts Festival. So fast forward to today, um, Matthew continues to chase his dreams, and they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So the photos I'm going to show you over the next few slides will help you understand how devastating this disease can be. You can see the physical changes in Matthew, the ups and downs, the challenges that Matthew has gone through. But most important, I want you to notice his smile. He's always smiling, no matter how dire the situation. Excuse me. So Matthew can be here today, but his thoughts are in all of these slides. So there's a photo of Matthew 2 months before his transplant. He's down about 60 pounds. He is glowing in the dark, but he's smiling. This is the night before the liver transplant. You can see how thin he is and how gaunt he's gotten. This is 1 month after transplant. You could see the changes already, the difference a new liver makes to life. I'm also 1 month after a transplant, feeling great. So he's also about giving back. So he regained all of his strength, and this was a year after he became a spokesperson for sick kids. But I put these photos up for a couple of reasons. It shows you the strength he was able to get back into his body. On the photo on the left, that's a handstand. And on the right, this is shortly after he started to decline again. So he's in amazing health again. And over the next number of months, he will decline again. So this is a picture on October 2nd. This is a mere 10 hours after an 18-hour surgery. Again, he's smiling. He's feeling very, very excited. So, excuse me. As I said, Matthew couldn't be here today, and but he did give me his thoughts and what he'd like me to share. So this is who Matthew is today. He's into nutrition. He's a fitness coach. He's a personal trainer. He's an influencer, podcast, martial arts. He got certified as a world martial arts Muay Thai coach. He's got a martial arts and fitness business he started. He is back here in Vancouver. Today he's in Sayulita, Mexico, working at a gym, an MMA gym in Mexico. And he asked me to share these thoughts with you. So if he could be here, he'd tell you control what you can control, be your own advocate, get educated, seek medical expertise, be at all things, be strong of your body and mind, get support, ask for help. And when help is given, don't be too proud to accept it. And you, at all things, you have to stay positive at all times. One of his favorite sayings was, Dad, I'm so positive, even my blood type is positive, and be positive. He'll also tell you to find a purpose in life. He said, if I chase things that are unachievable, then my potential is limitless. Do not let your disease define or limit you. He was told originally by the doctors that he should never fight, nor should he ever get tattooed, as an infection could kill him. So, as you can see from him, he did what he believed was right for him, and he drove ahead. And do what you love. This is him in Costa Rica. Do not put off to tomorrow what you can do today. You could see the surfboard on the right, just so you know, Matthew didn't know how to swim. He did almost drown in Costa Rica, but he's now learned how to swim today. But he wanted to surf. And set goals and believe in yourself. There's a saying that resonates with Matthew from Norman Vincent Peale. It's the power of positive thinking. He says, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. That is a picture of Matthew. They wouldn't let him fight in Canada. So he got in a plane and went to Thailand, and he trained for 5 weeks and learned the art of Muay Thai. And then he got in a ring and did his first professional fight. And he did get hurt, but he came out and he was victorious. So he'll also tell you support is critical. Family, friends, making sure that you understand your body being strong, staying strong of mental health, network and learn from others and support others through their journey. People at the Leukemia Liver Foundation, I've worked with them in Montreal and Toronto and here in BC. They do amazing work. They help to raise awareness, they fund research, and they support family and educate, and they help raise awareness. Really, really critical to get support. As a parent, we all love our kids. They're the most important things in our lives, and we want to make sure they stay safe. We want to protect them. But my own nugget to all of you is you have to be strong and you have to let them do what they believe is right. I did not want him to fight. I did not want him to get tattooed. But we let him. We let him do it, and he is where he is today, and appreciate every moment you have with him. So thank you for your time. And if anybody ever needs any help or advice or best practices, my wife and I would be more than happy to share it with you. And thank you to CLF for allowing us to share our story today. Thank you.